Hello again. Well, boy howdy didn't people just spaz out about my last video. Whew, those PC gamers are a violent and twitchy lot. Now, I was lamenting the fact that SPORE wouldn't run on the Mac I have, mainly due to the video card, despite the fact that exact same video card being supported under Windows operating system. EA were lazy about it, and instead of actually coding for the Mac, they just run the software through an abstraction layer, which is kind of like emulation. It slows everything down and makes it pathetic. So out of a pure sense of whimsy, and because it's Sunday and also Father's Day, and I haven't spoken to my father in about 24 years, so the day means nothing, but I had nothing better to do, I decided to have a little experiment. I installed SPORE on the lowest powered machine in my house. Got a little pissant processor in it. It's running at 633 megahertz as opposed to the 2 gigahertz that my MacBook runs at. Well, come over here, I'll show you what I mean. Now, my MacBook is no slouch. Let's take a look here. A 2 GHz Intel Core Duo CPU, 2 GHz of DDR2 RAM, and the very common and widespread GMA 950 graphics chip from Intel. On a PC, this is more than enough hardware grunt to run SPORE Creature Creator, but because of the laziness of EA's programmers, not good enough on a Mac. And no, it has nothing to do with which is the, quote, better operating system. This is all because EA took shortcuts and cheats when producing the Mac version of SPORE Creature Creator. So all you little fanboy twerps out there, just STFU already. Don't want to hear it. And over here, my little Asus EPC. It's powered by a comparatively wimpy Intel Celeron M CPU, designed to run at 900 MHz, that's less than 1 GHz for those of you keeping score, but Asus have clocked it down even slower to help with cooling and battery life, so it's running at 630 MHz. So by today's standards, it's pretty damn slow. I upgraded the RAM from the stock 512MB to a full gig, and the graphics chip is a little sad Intel GMA 900. In every way, it is significantly less powerful than my MacBook. But check this out. It runs SPORE Creature Creator. In fact, it runs it pretty damn well. I've just spent like the last 2 hours messing around on this demo version, right here, powering away on this little bugger. And now I'm even more annoyed it won't run on my Mac because it's damn fun. And I really rather mess with it on a nice high-res screen, full-size keyboard, and big trackpad that I've got on my MacBook. Not to mention the scads of hard drive space to save all my little critters in. And what's even more surprising is that I am not even having to run this with the settings turned down. Check this out. Medium settings all across the board, and it still chugs out at a surprisingly decent performance. I can even use the built-in video recording function and it barely skips a beat. The frame rate drops down a bit, but the video it produces is still pretty usable for showing off one's critters on YouTube or whatever. Like my little guy here? I think he's cute. He's called the E-Beast. Now, we all know Macs aren't known for being gamers' machines, but I don't care, and that's not the point. I don't own a Mac to game on. I own it because it makes everything else I do on a computer faster, easier, more efficient, and a more pleasurable experience. The same reasons I like to game on consoles and not on a PC. But the fact is, this game has a Mac version, and I wanted to play this game on my Mac. But because of the folks over at EA are lazy crap sacks, and they half-assed the Mac version, took shortcuts and generally made a mockery out of their public statement about being committed to producing their games for Mac users. This isn't commitment, this is bullshit. I can't run SPORE Creature Creator on my MacBook, but I can run it perfectly fine on a tiny little machine only about 25% as powerful as my Mac, a machine designed for doing little more than running basic shit like web surfing and email. It's just not good enough.